So, dear students, we have learned two important mass movements in India's freedom struggle. Now, let us go on to the main limitations, shortcomings of the civil disobedience movement. First limitation was that Dalits' participation was very low in civil disobedience movement. Congress did not support the demands of the Dalits. Why Congress did not support the demands of the Dalits? Because upper caste Hindus, Sanatanis, were very active in the Congress. So Congress thought that if they supported the Dalits, the Sanatanis would move away from the Congress. So Congress did not support the demands of the Dalits. But Gandhiji always supported Dalit cause. Gandhiji was not a political leader alone. He was a social reformer also. Gandhiji was against the inhuman practice of untouchability. You know what is untouchability? Policy of discrimination followed by the upper caste people against lower caste people. Gandhiji wanted Hindus to give up untouchability. He said that Swaraj would not come for 100 years if untouchability was not abolished. If you want to achieve Swaraj, we must abolish untouchability, said Gandhiji. He called untouchables Harijans. Harijans means sons of God. Hari is God. So Harijans means the people of God, sons of God. He organized the Satyagraha to get temple entry and access to public wells, tanks, roads, schools for Dalits. He wanted Dalits to enter into the temple. He wanted them to make use of public wells and tanks. He wanted them to freely walk through the roads. He wanted Dalit children to attend schools like other children. So he organized many Satyagraha struggles for that. Gandhiji himself cleaned Harijan colonies. He cleaned toilets to show that even the Bangis, the toilet cleaning community, even their job is a dignified job. Gandhiji asked upper caste Hindus to give up the inhuman practice of untouchability. So Gandhiji was a champion of Dalit cause. But unfortunately, many leaders in the Congress did not support the Dalits' demands. In Gandhiji's ashram, there was no feeling of untouchability. Dalits formed their own political organizations. As Congress did not support their demands, Dalits formed their own organizations. Dalits believed that only by getting political power, Dalits can improve their social, economic condition. So they started forming their own organizations. For example, a Dalit leader, Dr. BR Ambedkar, he formed depressed classes associations. Dalits should get political power. That is what Ambedkar wanted. So Ambedkar wanted separate electorates for the Dalits. What is this separate electorate? See, in a constituency, Dalits will elect their own representative. Other caste people will elect their representative. So Dalits of an area, if a constituency is a Dalit majority area or a constituency where Dalits are living in large numbers, one representative will be elected by the Dalits alone. This is called separate electorate. So he made this demand in the second roundtable conference. He attended second roundtable conference as a representative of the Dalits. Gandhiji opposed it. Why Gandhiji opposed the separate electorates for Dalits? Because Gandhiji thought that this will prevent Dalits' integration into the mainstream society. Gandhiji wanted Dalits to become a part of the mainstream Hindu society. So if Dalits are given separate electorate, that will cause disunity and Dalits cannot become an integral part of the Hindu society. So Gandhiji opposed separate electorates for the Dalits, but British supported it because British wanted to create disunity. Divide and rule was their policy. So in second roundtable conference, there was a clash between Gandhiji and Ambedkar. So British supported Ambedkar's demand. They were ready to give separate electorates. Gandhiji started a fast unto death. He started a Nirahara Satyagraha. So Gandhiji started a fast unto death. So Gandhiji's health condition became poor. Congress leaders were totally worried about this development because Gandhiji's life was very precious for India. So they went and requested Ambedkar to give up his demands. So Ambedkar met Gandhiji, and at Pune they signed an agreement. It is called the Pune Pact. Under Pune Pact, Ambedkar withdrew rights. And Gandhiji agreed for reservation of seats for Dalits. See, in one constituency, it can be reserved for Dalits. Let all the people of that constituency vote and elect a Dalit representative. So Gandhiji agreed for reservation of seats for Dalits in the legislatures, and Ambedkar gave up his demand for separate electorate. So under Pune Pact, Gandhiji withdrew his hunger strike. Another drawback of this movement was Muslim participation was very less. You may know or you may remember, in the non-cooperation movement, Muslim participation was very high. In fact, a Muslim movement, Khilafat movement and non-cooperation movement went shoulder to shoulder. But in the civil disobedience movement, Muslim participation was very less. Why Muslim participation was very less? Because Muslims got a fear. They got a fear that Congress was gradually becoming a Hindu organization. And under Congress leadership, if India wins freedom, India will become a Hindu country and Muslims will be treated as second-class citizens. Some Congress leaders had close connections with the Hindu organizations like Hindu Mahasabha. This added to the fear in the minds of the Muslims. British encouraged this kind of feelings to create disunity. So Muslim League leader Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he demanded separate electorates for the Muslims. Some efforts were made to create unity. An all-party conference was held. But unfortunately, the Hindu Mahasabha leaders like Jayagar did not agree for any kind of arrangement or settlement or agreement between the Congress and the Muslim League. So all those efforts ended in failure. So Muslim participation was very less in the civil disobedience movement. So dear students, that's all about civil disobedience movement. We know this movement started with the Dandi March. People participated in large numbers. Different social classes participated in it. Finally, it was withdrawn under Gandhi-Irwin Pact, restarted when Gandhiji returned from London, but finally called off in 1934. So dear students, we have learned two important mass movements in India's freedom struggle: non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement. What were the main differences between these two movements? First of all, in non-cooperation movement, Indian people refused to cooperate with the British government. Whereas in civil disobedience movement, people started disobeying, breaking the civil laws passed by the British government. So we can say that civil disobedience movement was a much more powerful method of struggle than the non-cooperation movement. Because in civil disobedience movement, people broke laws. Secondly, Muslim participation was very high in non-cooperation movement. We know that non-cooperation movement and Khilafat movement went hand in hand. Hindus and Muslims together participated in non-cooperation movement. But in civil disobedience movement, Muslim participation was very less. Many Muslim organizations did not participate in civil disobedience movement. Thirdly, no tax campaign was not there in non-cooperation movement. Whereas in civil disobedience movement, people refused to pay taxes. So these were the main differences between non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement. Now let us go on to some cultural factors and identities which created a sense of collective belonging among the people of India. Cultural factors and identities which created a sense of collective belonging among the people of India. Under this topic, we will learn some factors which created the feeling of oneness among the people of our country, which created nationalism in India, which created unity among the people of our country. The first one is image of Bharat Mother. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, a great writer from Bengal, he created the image of Bharat Mother. He wrote about Bharat Mother. Abanindranath Tagore painted the image of Bharat Mother. Bharat Mother looked like a sannyasini, divine, calm and spiritual. Worshipping Bharat Mother became a symbol of nationalism. We know that there is no one called Bharat Mother. Actually, Bharat Mother represented Mother India. So people started worshipping Bharat Mother throughout the country. Second factor is Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram was a prayer song written by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. A prayer song to Bharat Mother. A salutation to Bharat Mother. Vande Mataram became the war cry of the people of India. People started singing Vande Mataram throughout India when they participated in protest marches, rallies, demonstrations, strikes, etc. Vande Mataram actually became the war cry of the people of India. It gave them courage to face the British police, British army. Later, Vande Mataram was included in the novel written by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay titled Anand March. British were frightened by the strength of Vande Mataram that they had to ban it. That showed the strength of this song, Vande Mataram. Next important factor is actually national flag. During the Swadeshi movement, in lower classes you learned about Swadeshi and boycott movements. During the Swadeshi movement, a tricolor flag was designed. Red, green and yellow. Three-color flag. Swadeshi flag. And this flag had 8 lotuses representing 8 provinces of British India. British India was divided into 8 provinces. So each lotus represented a province. It also had a crescent moon. Half moon. Crescent moon is a sacred symbol for both Hindus and Muslims. So crescent moon represented 2 major communities of India, Hindus and the Muslims. So during the Swadeshi movement, a tricolor flag was developed. In 1921, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi designed the Swaraj flag. Swaraj flag was also a tricolor flag, red, green and white. Red, green and white. And in the middle of the flag, there was a spinning wheel, charka. And charka actually represented Gandhian idea of self-help. Charka is a symbol of our cottage and village industries. Gandhiji believed that cottage and village industries would help India to achieve self-reliance. Flag also became a symbol of the nation. People carried flag whenever they participated in protest marches and the rallies. So flag represented our nation and created the feeling of oneness among the people of our country. Next important factor is rediscovery of India's past. You already know that the British considered Indian culture primitive and backward. They frequently told Indians, see, you are inferior people. You don't have a good culture. Your history is dark. British rule is blessing for you. You are not able to rule by yourself, so we are ruling over you. You are inferior people. Many Indians believed it. That created inferiority feelings among the Indians. But in the 19th century, things changed. Some educated Indians and some Europeans, they started to study about India's past. They started to study about India's achievements in the field of literature, art, architecture, science, mathematics, religion, culture, law, philosophy, crafts, trade, etc. They found out that India's past was really a glorious period. India made tremendous contributions towards literature, towards arts, towards science, towards mathematics, towards religion. For example, Brahmi script was deciphered by James Prinsep. Script means system of writing. Brahmi was actually an ancient script. It was lost to Indians. Nobody knew how to read it. James Prinsep deciphered it. Deciphered means found the clue to read it. So when we read the Brahmi script, we got information about Ashoka the Great. He established a very large empire. And India was united under Ashoka the Great. Similarly, William Jones, he studied India's literature. He translated Kalidasa's works into English. So these all made the Indians understand that they were not inferior people. Their ancestors made tremendous achievements in various fields. So all this information about India's glorious past created courage, self-confidence among the people of our country and strengthened India's freedom struggle. Next factor is revival of folklore. What are actually folklore? Every region, every village will have its own songs and the stories. Folk songs and legends. Actually, these folk songs and legends show the real character of the Indian society, Indian culture, real thoughts of Indian people. Rabindranath Tagore collected a number of folk songs and legends. Nationalists went to the villages and collected our folk songs and stories. For example, in Madras, Nadesha Shastri, he collected and published a 4-volume collection of Tamil folk tales. He published it under the name The Folklore of Southern India. See, these folk songs and legends and stories created national pride among the people of India. It showed the real character of Indian culture. So revival of folklore is another factor that contributed towards India's nationalism. Dear students, with this we come to the end of our chapter, Nationalism in India. Hope you could understand. Thank you very much.